Chris, did you have something you wanted to tell me about?
Oh, I did, Jake.
Oh, I'm interested in things that people tell me about at the beginning of podcasts.
Well, I'm here to tell you that this episode is brought to you by Hulu Plus, a streaming television service for your computer and your various mobile devices. Go to huluplus.com/thumbs for a 2-week free trial.
That sounds really cool, Chris. Thanks for telling me about it at the beginning of our episode.
It is cool, Jake, and you're welcome.
Got anything else to tell me about?
Yeah, I do. This is Idle Thumbs 163. I'm Chris Remo.
What?
That's all I got to tell you.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'm Jake Rodkin. Are we going to be in the podcast now? Are we just doing this?
It's up to you. You're the guy.
I'm the guy?
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. You're Chris Remo. I'm Jake Rodkin, and we're joined by Danielle Riendeau. Hey, Danielle.
Hi, guys.
Also, if you were wondering, because I really care that people know this or not, it is June 18th, 2014. But
God, I needed that.
I know. Whew. I think it is at least. Yeah, people got to know what day it is.
Yeah, you know.
I don't really care if it's accurate. I just need someone to tell me that it's a date. I just need to know that it's
December
a day
12th.
of the time.
1902.
If Jake says it,
100
if
years.
Jake says it, it's fine. Like as long as Jake just says something.
As long as I say a
He's
date
an authority on
authoritatively.
dates.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just need to know what it is.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if people ever hear me say the date at the beginning of the podcast and go, that's like 4 days out of date, and then don't listen to the podcast. Like, where's the new video game news?
yeah.
Because we're a video game news podcast.
That's already appropriate to us because we're probably going to just talk about more E3 stuff now because Danielle's here.
E3 stuff.
I mean, I don't have anything else to talk about.
Wow.
What?
That's fine.
I just mean Danielle actually knows things that happened and we don't, but they're old now.
Yeah, that's true.
There's all sorts of things that happened a week ago that are really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really pumped on E3.
Yeah.
It's a rare day that a journalist comes back from E3, or a human comes back from E3 and is like, yes, E3, because like I could see going, like you're like, oh, maybe there's going to be some
at least
cool
any
stuff.
human whose livelihood relies on anything.
If you were
connected
paid to
E3.
go to E3 and you come back stoked, it's a crazy situation because the E3 curve usually is going downward at this point. Like maybe at the show, there's sometimes like, oh, maybe it's not so bad after all, and then like you just get totally beat down over the next 2 days, or like at the beginning you're excited and then your eyes see the LA Convention Center for the first time and you're like, oh god, okay, it's that.
There we go. Yeah.
Either PlayStation or Call of Duty's got the big ad in front. There it is.
I had the opposite experience this year. I was dreading going, like you wouldn't believe. Like for a week before, I was like, oh god.
You had like a nega E3.
Oh god, I can't believe like back to E3.
Oh, I know how that feels.
Yeah. And it ended up being, this is my 5th E3. And this ended up being...
Oh, man. So we're just inverted because this is,
really?
I think, my 5th year of not going to E3.
Oh, that's super funny. I think we had a year of overlap then because I started going in 2009 and I missed 2012.
2009 was my last E3.
I haven't been to E3 for
overlap.
8 years.
Oh.
8 years? Wait, when did you last go?
2006.
Wow.
Oh, right. Okay, that makes sense.
The big Nintendo year, I guess.
I think I last
maybe.
went in 09.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to E3.
Possibly
I went to E3 for 7 years and I haven't gone for 8. Sorry.
No, that's
just
cool.
a crazy realization that I've now flipped to the other side.
Yeah.
I'm now a hopelessly out of date E3 guy. Anyway.
Well, this means now I've spent half of my video game career not going to E3. I guess. I think I had 5 there and then 5 not.
I think
there.
I can define myself as a 21st century like E3 hipster where I stopped in 2006 when they said that they were reformatting E3 to be a media conference the next year. I didn't go to that one.
All right, so Danielle, what was good about it?
Oh, okay. Well, last year it was fine, I guess. It was all about sort of the big hardware reveals. It was about, the Xbox One, the PS4, who shit on who with their press conference, that sort of thing. But this year there were actually really good games that I really enjoyed playing.
Cool.
Which is, not the typical E3 thing, by far and away. I can just sort of tell you about the cool games.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about video games on our podcast?
All right. Well, let's go alphabetically.
What?
Whoa.
Okay, Alien Isolation.
Your brain works in a way that my brain doesn't.
But whatever.
Work.
Who
no,
cares?
I'm impressed.
Irrelevant, because we're starting with Alien Isolation, which is the game that I want to hear the most about.
Yes.
Because I'm obsessed with that game after the trailers they put out that were good.
Okay, it's really, really,
How much of it
good.
did you play?
I played maybe half an hour or so.
Okay.
And then I got literally... Okay, so I was playing this game, and it's in like a stupid thing that's supposed to look like the barracks from,
it's like a goofy booth
whatever.
thing.
The goofy E3 thing. You
Yeah.
know, I kind of showed up, and I was like, okay,
Cool goofy booth.
cool goofy booth. I'm predisposed to like this game because it's an actual horror game, and it's set in the in the first movie, basically, or around the time of
best
the
one.
first
The
movie.
Alien.
There's one alien. There aren't 10 million aliens. There's no guns. There's no space marines. Nothing like that. You're actually just
That's awesome.
scared and hiding from an alien.
Is there a robot Ian Holm?
There are robots, but they're not like Ash. They're a little bit more they're a little more primitive. They kind of have faces, but they're sort of like the crash test dummy face,
Okay.
that sort of thing. There are a few of them supposedly, and they're also a threat, but you also have to hide.
I was immediately about to start asking things like, when they are attacked, do they bleed like milk and beads?
I'm not sure. I didn't attack one.
Because that image, sorry, that's a total
The yogurt
flying off into
face
space.
kind
Yeah,
of
when,
stuff,
he's,
yeah.
when he's just ripped apart, it was the grossest, weirdest
that was
construct.
a really
it was
I don't know,
effective.
it's good,
it was
yeah.
it's stuck in my brain forever.
It was more disgusting than the chest burster, I think, far and away.
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
gross,
for sure.
milky,
Definitely.
yogurty. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's way grosser than actual blood.
And then it dries and it's like crusted on.
Yeah.
And like just because you can imagine that the chest burster thing is like complete fantasy essentially. Like
Yeah, but
obviously.
it's still also, it's viscera that you're familiar with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, right. That's also true.
Except for the
But
alien.
But
Right.
the milk thing. The thing with the milk is like it forces you to be more active in your imagination.
Right.
It's really true. It's really true. And that chest burster is like, I don't know. It's just such a like childbirth kind of scene where it's like it's
Yeah,
gross and everybody finds it, disturbing, but it's so close to something that happens in reality that it's,
Yeah, but the weird stuff that comes out of Ian Holm.
Yeah,
Oh.
that stuff is not natural.
I wonder if someone's going to complain that we're spoiling Alien.
Oh God.
Sorry.
How many years ago? 1979.
Whatever.
right?
Instead, you should spoil the Alien E3 demo.
Oh, I will. So, I mean, it's only a tiny slice of the game, for sure. But they are only a few months out. They're coming out in October, I think October 7th. Yeah, I did a little write-up of this, so I know all the facts.
Mhm.
Just the facts, ma'am. Okay, anyway. You're playing
Doesn't say
as...
ma'am. That's a classic misquote
Well, I had to misgender it.
in the
It's my
original show
thing.
anyway.
All right, well,
Sorry.
He says
I'm
the
mamming
goggles,
it
they do
up.
nothing. He says, Luke, I am your father.
Play it again, Sam.
Let's play it again, Sam. Okay, so you're playing as Amanda Ripley, who is Ellen Ripley's daughter. Oh God, I just hit the thing.
That's okay.
And the fiction actually kind of makes sense because it's 15 years after sort of Alien has happened, and she is grown up now because she's a little girl when Ellen Ripley takes off in the fiction or whatever. And she's an engineer, and so she's smart, and she wants to know what happened to her mother. So she goes to this space station, and of course, there's an alien on it. It's eaten almost everybody, and horrible things are happening. So you basically start out in the demo. You're in this little area, sort of like of the spaceship, a living area of the spaceship. There's food, that little, sort of like the water duck that that's going. Yeah, sorry, I know it's not great radio when I'm doing this, but
Danielle is simulating a water duck with her
a water
hand.
duck that dips into a cereal bowl. Yes, picture it now. And you basically have your motion tracker where you can see where the alien is. And you have to.
When you said that, I started imagining like Kinect and stuff.
Okay.
No,
I was like, wait, this is a
has like a
this is
You
handheld
have a
device.
motion
Control
tracker.
game?
Yes, it's a handheld 70s ass looking device that
Okay.
beeps and the same sound
Sure.
effects
Yeah.
as sort of the
Uh-huh.
the movies. And there's an alien stalking you right away. You don't really have any sort of safe area. So I actually died in the first 30 seconds of playing the demo. I was eaten horribly, and it was really scary. And I jumped and I screamed and I made a scene. It was great.
Good.
I quickly found out that you kind of need to hide in a locker. like almost immediately, right when the demo sort of starts up. You have to hide in a locker.
Does that feel like a trial and error puzzle thing, or is it good?
I mean, it did a little bit in this demo. They sort of reassured me that, you know, in the actual game, you're gonna, you know, they'll ease you in a little bit.
Okay, that's not the beginning of the game.
No.
Oh,
this was actually a slice sort of in
Stuff
the middle
like that
of the
is
game.
like, I find it to be really frustrating at times. Like I talked about Wolfenstein a couple weeks ago and I liked it.
Yeah.
But then after I talked about it on the podcast, I went home and played a part where you like drop down a hole into a hallway and one of those, like this huge robot dog like runs at you.
Yeah.
And I died probably 15 times.
Oh God.
And eventually I realized, oh God, you have to like run in the other direction and like sprint slide under a barricade.
Sure.
And then use your like metal cutter to like cut through the floor and
you have to
drop
do a very
down.
specific set of actions,
there's only one way to get out of it. Like you have to do the exact sequence of things in that exact order.
Yeah.
And I just died like a million. And every time you die, you have to redo the thing where you like climb through the hole, which is a canned animation.
Sure.
You know, you climb through the hole and drop down, and the dog comes out. It's just fucking.
Yeah, that's super annoying.
God. And so I'm always like really skeptical of things like that in games where it's like you die if you don't do the exact thing, but then it's not. But how do you know you just do it because eventually you figure it out? But like
as you got farther into the demo, was it not that as much? Like
I mean, I got the hang of things. You know, at first I kind of just ran out and sort of, you know, I was like, oh, I'm going to explore the world. They won't put an alien in this first little room. And it was like, oh no, it will eat your face. So, you know, I sort of figured out, okay, there's a locker right on the left side of the screen. Once I saw the tracker that the alien was coming closer to me, I went into the locker, and of course it comes right up and it sort of sniffs at the locker, and you have to hold your breath. That's like a mechanic in the game. How long you can hold your breath while you're in a locker, while you're hiding, basically. The developers, it's Creative Assembly, actually. They make the Total War games.
Yeah. I'm really curious about that.
It's really kind of cool. I interviewed them, and they were talking about how, you know, they've been kind of working on this in secret for 3.5 years and sort of building up a console team. And this is their big, like, console debut, which is kind of exciting.
So did they basically... That's about when Sega bought them, right?
I think so, yeah.
So did Sega basically bought them and like gave them this pretty soon? They must have pretty soon after. Yeah. And they kept making Total War games. Obviously, they're still doing that.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're known for. But
I mean, those games are good, basically.
They are, but they're like
those games are interesting in that.
From Alien.
No, they totally are. Total War games are interesting in that I feel like they're often good, but like always ambitious in a way that most sort of AAA games aren't.
Sure.
Like most of the games that are ambitious in the way those games are not big productions. You know, they're like niche, like niche strategy games, like grand strategy games, stuff like that. So I find the Creative Assembly kind of an inherently fascinating developer because I feel like they just exist at a point on the graph at like the combination of ambition and budget that is just and like non-mainstream appeal most of the time. It's like really, it's like
and
weird.
Longevity also.
That's true. Yeah, they combine a lot of factors that are super unusual, that are very unusual for any video game.
It's a smaller scale
developer.
thing, but for X's modern incarnation feels kind of similar actually, in that they made Civ for a million years, and then
they made their breakout alien sci-fi game.
Yeah, actually, yes. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it kind of makes sense. I guess you know.
Have they been building that team up like newly, or were they able to say anything about what it means to have all this experience as a sort of grand strategy developer and then make this game? Or is that basically a team they're just growing from the ground up?
The second. They kind of told me they were growing this team from the ground up. They sort of told me they poached people from Rockstar and Ubisoft and all over the place. People who had made Dead Space, you know, things like that. So.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what the crossover is between the Alien Isolation team and the Total War people. Like at what
like, are there
levels?
any lead level people who?
Yeah.
It would be cool to know that. I probably should have asked them that, but oh well.
That's okay.
Yeah, they told me that much, that, you know, this is a brand new team kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're really, really itching to prove themselves, and they're all really big Alien fans, and, you know, they did an amazing job making it feel like Alien and sound like Alien and look like Alien, and it scared the living shit out of me playing this game. So
that's a cool thing, because Aliens, the sequel, has been such a massive influence on video games.
On every video game of every genre.
2 or 3 decades, it's...
The entire Space Marine idea is from Aliens, you know, basically.
Yeah, that version of it, certainly. And, like, Aliens, like the aliens from those movies, have been in a bunch of games, but always as like a kind of enemy rather than as like the singular enemy.
There's one stalking
as they
beast.
were, you know,
except when it's versus Predator.
In the Jaguar game from the 90s?
I thought that the original PC game Alien vs. Predator, there was an alien, a predator, and Space Marine as the three things, and I thought there was just
You're probably right.
Alien, but I don't remember.
Oh, I didn't
the name of the game was still Aliens vs. Predator.
I thought it was Alien vs. Predator, then the S was added for a later film.
Oh, maybe that's the case.
I don't remember, though. I don't know.
I should probably know this, but I don't know this.
Yeah, I only ever played that game like when I had to QA it. I had to QA the Mac port of it.
Oh man!
When I was at
Apple,
yeah,
hilarious.
Nice.
It was assigned as one of the things to like hardware test PowerBooks. People in the testing lab were like, multiplayer testing. You're playing Alien versus Predator. Like, okay, sweet.
That's awesome.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
So
actually.
I haven't been following Alien Isolation other than like just the trailers and the assets that they've been putting out. Inside of the demo, what was your actual what's the objective? What's the structure of this? I mean, is it just get to point A, get to point B, survive, or is it like are you running around assembling stuff, or is it more like you just have to make it through the corridors? Like what was the structure of it like?
So there's a little bit of both. You're definitely on the radio with, a sympathetic crew member who's outside of the space station who's trying to help you through. It's a little bit of that is going on.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a little video gamey, but whatever. And there are sort of objectives for each section, open this area up, do this, do that. She's an engineer, so there's actually like a very small crafting system where you can, put things together, hack things. There's actually a hacking minigame, which sounds like the most trite thing in the world, but it looks like a 70s like CRT hacking minigame, which makes it much cooler.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what Jake likes.
It is what I like. It's all that I like. And then the other thing that I wanted to ask, which is, so I have a bunch of specific questions to ask you as the person I know who played the game. You said you have to hold your breath when you're inside the locker. Are there other times in the game where holding your breath is important besides just to hide from the alien?
Or is it a QTE?
Yeah, like is there just a hold your breath button? You said it's a mechanic, or is it like a QTE in that moment?
I mean, it's in the moment, but you can't hold your breath indefinitely, so you kind of have to sort of time it out.
So it is for that. It's not. I was like, are there places where you like have to like lock bulkheads and vent air and then like have air in your lungs like in 2001
possible.
A Space Odyssey?
But you can't just arbitrarily.
But if there isn't just a hold breath button, that's not.
I think there is actually.
What?
I don't recall using that control for anything else during the demo. So and there is sort of in the previous sort of demo that they did, I don't know, maybe last winter or something. I remember seeing this actually on IGN of all places, but that demo ended with an airlock moment and holding your breath. So I don't know if that was just in the cinema.
If they dedicated, having worked on games before, just knowing how people like claw and bite for like
a button
on a controller, like no, if they actually dedicated one face button or any button to holding your breath, like good choice.
It would be useful in this situation.
I hope I'm not just like inventing a game that's more outrageous than the real one in my head.
And it actually is.
Yeah. Because that would be the best.
Yeah, I mean, it was really effective. I mean, it was terrifying. And the alien, I have to say personally, like, was the thing I was scared of as a kid. Like, that was the thing that I thought was going to eat me in my sleep. And so playing this was amazing. It was really great.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was really cool.
So what's your B game?
Oh god, yeah. See that whole shtick I had about having alphabetical.
I was like,
I have an A.
Yeah.
So cool.
Like, let's start with Alien.
I guess probably next alphabetically would be Kirby. That was really cute. There's a Kirby game that looks like Claymation.
Nothing on B through J?
I don't know. There's a lot of N's and M's. Okay. I've got a few M's and N's.
Well, those are coming up soon.
All right, ready? Well, here's my first
This is the weirdest episode. Okay, go ahead.
Mario Maker.
This is probably going to be called ABCDE3, by the way. Just shouldn't have given that away.
That's really perfect.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's super perfect. Well, Mario Maker was amazing.
What about Kirby?
Oh, well, okay. I thought, you kind of give a look like, Kirby, whatever.
No, that wasn't, no, that wasn't anything against Kirby. I was just saying, like...
Who doesn't like Kirby?
I was just saying you're skipping, like, 8 letters, so just make sure there's...
All right, well, Kirby is worth talking about, I think. It's a Kirby game. It's a little platformer. It's actually more of a puzzle game. Did you ever play Canvas Curse on the DS?
I loved that goddamn game. That was one of the first games that I played on DS. I think it was one of the early games. And that I remember actually, God, at one of the E3s that Jake, you and I both went to, I think was the first E3 when the DS had come out.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if Canvas Curse was at the first because the first E3 that DS came out was where it was like play our submarine game.
Okay, then it was the next E3.
It was the one after the DS had shipped.
Yes, right. Yes, you're right. It was the one after the DS had shipped. That's what That's what I actually meant. Yeah. And I remember all of us at Idle Thumbs at the time in like 2005 were incredibly unenthused about the DS.
And then 2006, we were flipped on that thing, right?
I think 2005 is the year you're thinking of. I think it came out in like November 2004.
To the Google machine.
I'm gonna guess because E3. Oh, you might be right. Whatever. People at home are either don't care or know this information.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You feel free. So, but I remember. Yeah. So like we and also it was the like horrible like Rev 1 design of the DS, which was not very appealing.
Like inflatable child's raft one. Yeah.
And then I remember we went there we went to the E3 after it had come out. And they had Kirby's Canvas Court.
And they had New Super Mario Brothers, I think, might have also been there.
I think that was still earlier, maybe too early.
I might be off by a year.
But they had Meteos. They had Kirby Canvas Curse. They had... I can't remember everything. Oh, they had Electroplankton.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
They just had all this shit that was like... Not all of it necessarily like games you'd play forever, but just really cool, inventive stuff. And Kirby Canvas Curse ended up being one of my favorite early DS games. I played that game through, I think, twice.
Kirby Canvas Curse, June 2005.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And also known as Kirby Power Paintbrush in Europe. Fun fact for you. Anyway, the new game, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, I think is what it's called, is basically Canvas Curse.
Is it 3DS?
Oh, it's on Wii U, and it's prettier. And it's just as puzzle-oriented. You're just drawing little lines, and it's a rainbow this time. It's very special, very friendly, very gay.
Is this the one that looks like yarn?
No, that's actually the new Yoshi game.
There was a yarn Kirby on
like
last generation.
Kirby's Epic Yarn.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I didn't play that. Yes.
This one looks like clay.
This one is a claymation look, and it's
cool.
really, really pretty.
Oh, yeah, great. I didn't see any of that. I haven't seen anything of this.
Yeah, it's actually really cute. And if you want to talk about
Kirby
the yarn
clay
thing,
is just a ball of clay.
Yeah, basically.
Right?
He has little feet, and the entire world, all the little details of the world are all made in clay.
Okay, wow.
Little claymation look.
Crazy. That's really cool. Is it? It's not actual claymation. It's just rendered to look like that.
I think it's just rendered.
It's not like the Neverhood where it's actually
right. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming they just rendered it to look like that, but
no,
it does look really
fine,
beautiful.
Obviously,
so.
I was just that would be amazing. Nintendo making a game that was just like thousands of photographs.
Their behind the scenes featurette is just a gross, just dirty clay set with guys popping out. Yeah, the Neverhood was like that.
Yeah, and do you remember the Pikmin like box art?
Oh yeah,
was like clay.
Yeah,
was like
that's also like the old Nintendo Power covers were like that as well, where they were clay miniatures. The very last issue of Nintendo Power, they did a clay posed cover for the first time in years. Anyway,
it's
that looked
cool.
I don't know. When I saw the Pikmin box, all that I could think of was like the old Mario 2 Nintendo Power cover.
Well, this was definitely the second time we saw clay at Nintendo's E3 thing this year, because they had the Robot Chicken dudes do segments, do little joke sketches in between the game announcements.
We love how the GDC Awards have Mega 64 doing wacky jokes in between.
Kind of like that,
so
actually.
Like a Robot Chicken to make ours.
What?
It was, I'm not even kidding. Yeah, the Robot Chicken folks did like Nintendo sketches in between all the little vignettes of new games. This is a real thing. I'm not making it up.
Weird.
Yeah.
Did they have like dicks in them and stuff? Isn't Robot Chicken
not
like
really.
profane?
Yeah, it typically is, but this was very family-friendly versions. It was like Bowser stole Peach's donut and that kind of thing. Like, haha, slapstick. But it was actually kind of cute.
Okay,
like
fair
that
enough.
sort of thing.
Sure.
I don't know. Anyway, that was a K. I have a couple of M's and an N. Or actually a couple of N's and an M.
Well, M comes first.
Are you ready for the M?
I am.
Yeah.
Mario Maker.
Okay.
This is amazing. It's just sort of like a little tool where you make 2D Mario levels and you test them out and you play them, and it's amazing.
Sweet.
And I had a lot of fun with it, and they had to tell me to stop and put it down and please let the next person play
this concept.
Yeah, it's really cool. And
as someone who spent hundreds of hours making Mario levels on a calculator,
I know. When I saw that Mario Maker was announced, I thought of two things. I thought of all of the margins of everything that I ever made in 4th grade, which have Mario 3 levels drawn all over them, and like whole just like notebooks full of that. And the other thing I thought of was Chris can translate his whatever TI-86 Mario, or was it 83 or 86? 86 Mario into official canonical Mario.
Real Mario
Does it
levels.
let you just completely abuse it? Probably doesn't, right? You can't do things like put one square of water in the middle of the air that you have to like jump to and
I think you can.
Really?
I made a ridiculous thing where it was 40 enemies that just ate Mario the second, I hit play.
Right.
It was really fun. I mean, of course, that's, what a child like me will do, when given the opportunity. But
do they like validate the levels in any way, or can you just say, I'm done?
I mean, everything's kind of on a preset. At least it was for the demo. It was sort of like, here's a little demo level that's just a plain sort of Mario 1 era graphics sort of thing. And just do whatever you want to it, and you can erase everything. So I guess you could just make it, sort of.
Because Double Fine was making a game that didn't ever come out for various reasons. I can't talk about the details of it, but it was a game where people would have made their own levels, and like the way it worked was pretty clever in that after you make the level, you have to be able to beat it without dying in order to publish the level, just so that it ensures you can't just completely cheese the the system.
I don't think that's in there yet for Mario Maker, but
sure,
it was still really fun, and it's super intuitive. You just drag and drop everything.
Was it based on the new Super Mario Brothers stuff aesthetically, or was it its own
you
look?
Can switch between NES style like Super Mario Brothers and the new Super Mario Brothers style, and the physics are all the same. Everything's just the same. It's just a switch in the graphics, which is kind of cool. You can switch it at will, basically.
Can you have a trigger inside the level that switches it?
I asked them that, actually, because I really wanted that to happen. And to have it sort of be flashing, like some of the old
you want to be able
levels.
to like hit the power-up block and it goes boom and just changes.
And then he's 2000s era. Yeah, it would be cool. They didn't know.
Oh, they didn't know?
The demo person didn't know if I could do that, so.
You probably can't.
Yeah, I'm guessing you cannot.
Yeah. It was super fun.
We'll put that in the Wario constructor game.
Yeah, right.
And then in the Waluigi version of it, it just does that all the time.
It just all every frame.
God, if it was changing physics calculation algorithms every frame,
right?
Oh my God!
In the like seizure-inducing difference of those two images, if you sort of like wag your head back and forth on a CRT television, so it's got the refresh blinking, you'll see Waluigi's face.
Oh my God!
I guess actually the result of that is that it would effectively just be an interpolation between the two.
Yeah, it would just be a really mushy Mario.
Yeah.
Mario just falls and rolls down a hill.
He just kind of weirdly just mushes. Yeah.
That beautiful, crisp Nintendo animation right there.
So why didn't they do that, Nintendo? Where's that functionality in Mario Maker?
Yeah, where's that game?
Switching every physics algorithm every frame and seizure-inducing Waluigi face. What? Huh, Reggie?
That wasn't it.
Yeah, Reggie. Oh, well.
Well, that sounds cool also. So N.
It was really great. Okay, and No Man's Sky. Everybody's really excited about that.
Wait, did you play that?
No, I did not. Several of my teammates saw it behind closed doors, and they may have gotten their hands out, but I didn't. I'm sad about it, but it looks amazing.
Yeah. We talked about that last week.
Okay.
But just based on the
trailer that was at the
demo that they showed.
It was Microsoft.
Yeah, it was at Sony, I think, actually, which was a thing.
Yeah, it was at Sony.
I think they had some background with maybe they were with Microsoft, now they're with Sony. Maybe it's not exclusive. I don't know.
Nobody knows anything anymore.
Nobody knows. Professional journalists. And Never Alone. That should have come before No Man's Sky. I apologize. ABCD.
What is Never Alone?
Never Alone is a really, really cute, really, really beautiful little puzzle platformer that is about an Iñupiat girl.
Oh, I saw this.
It's an Alaskan native.
Yeah.
They're making the game, this very small studio in Seattle are making the game with an Iñupiat tribe of Alaskan native people.
Right.
And it's sort of based on a legend about a little girl who like goes into this blizzard, this never-ending blizzard, with her pet fox. There's fox snuggling. It's amazing. She goes into this blizzard to sort of try to save her village. And it's like, it kind of looks a little bit like Limbo. It's almost a little bit monochromatic, but it's cuter. It's really beautiful, and all the voiceover is actually done in the language of these people. And it's like this cool idea. They're trying to make, world games, basically. And, usually that's kind of a feel-good story. That sounds nice. And the games don't always look great, but this actually looks gorgeous.
Cool.
Nice. And
I remember reading about this. Like, it's funded in part by, like, a grant from, like, an organization that, like, advocates on behalf of, like, native heritage and stuff. Like,
native
I can't
people
remember the details.
And First Peoples, I think.
Yeah. In Canada, right.
In Canada and Alaska, in the lower 48.
Yeah.
Cool.
I remember reading about this a few months ago, and I didn't know it was at E3. But
all the games are D3, Chris.
That's true. They're all there.
This was actually super interesting because I sort of got assigned this last minute on the last day of E3, and I went to go find them, and they were actually in Microsoft's booth, and there were just 100 little indie games that are all just packed together in this booth, and they were the only one who only had one demo station. So I almost wonder if they kind of got the call like right ahead of time, and they were like, "Oh, you made the cut, show up, or whatever." But they were great. That game looked amazing.
Cool.
That was really cool. The last N is Nero, Nero. It is a 3D puzzle storytelling game that the Italian developers from Rome, as a matter of fact, were telling us. The name of the studio is Storm in a Teacup Studio, and they were very personable.
Is this sort of this an indie team, or it's
an indie team? Yeah, it's definitely an indie team. And it was sort of at the ID at Xbox, like the indies that they were showing.
Oh yeah.
It was really cool because it was like a first-person storytelling game, but it was also very much a puzzle game, and it was set in this weird outdoor forest where everything was neon and funky looking. And I didn't get hands-on time with it. It was just sort of a hands-off demo, but it looked really cool. Looked really funky and interesting. There's that. And then, okay, we're done with the ends. Done with the ends now.
Yeah.
Splatoon.
This is Nintendo, right?
This is Nintendo. It's like a squad-based online shooter that looks like dog shit until you play it. And it's actually really, really fun. It's basically a squad-based shooter where you are a little squid person and you are shooting paint all over this arena. The whole point is to control territory. And you're shooting this paint, and you can sort of shoot your enemies, but nobody gets hurt. It's like the world's cutest shooter in the world, basically.
Do you actually control territory by painting space?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's really cool.
So you control territory by controlling surface area.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
And also you can shoot the enemies and everything. And the best part of it is that that's sort of the main thrust of it. But you're also a squid, and you can swim rapidly in your own color paint. So you basically run around normally, and then you shrink down into the paint as a squid, and you can jump around, you can climb walls, you can do all this crazy shit. So there's like some platformer elements to it too.
God, Splatoon.
I know.
Every once in a while, Nintendo puts out a game that is not. It's like often I feel like when Nintendo tries to make a new intellectual property, that isn't like Metroid or Mario or Zelda or whatever. Yeah. I feel like it inhabits an aesthetic that I can only compare to like children's board game IP design.
Yep.
Where it's like, it's got a clever name, Splatoon, and it's all ages, and it's colorful, and it's like got a crazy mechanic that is like very specific to this thing. Like,
right, but they're for all you know, though, Splatoon could be the next Pikmin 2 multiplayer, as far as just like completely surprisingly focused weird thing that you fall into forever. Like,
right, but Pikmin as a concept doesn't quite fall into this category to me. Because it's not quite as like high concept.
More Claymation.
Like what does the like Chibi Robo
like
or something?
Yeah, Chibi Robo maybe, or like. But Pikmin is like the word itself is like this abstract thing that's like, oh, it's like we made up a whatever. Splatoon is like the reason it reminds me of that is it tries to communicate the entire thing that it is through like a clever brandable name.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like that's what reminds me of that. I wish I could think of more examples because I feel like Nintendo's done this before, but the reason I'm having a hard time thinking about it is because usually they only last for one game. They usually don't actually end up becoming like a thing that gets sequelized. Which isn't bad. Like that's not a bad thing at all.
I thought it looked terrible until I played it.
I'm not saying it's bad either. Just don't get me wrong.
Oh, no,
I'm not
totally.
saying that like, makes for a game bad. It's just a thing that like I only see from Nintendo or like tiny independent teams making puzzle games that just show up on Steam. You know what I mean? Like I don't see
something like Pushmo. Does that sort of fit that?
Sure, yeah.
Maybe. Again, a good game, but it looks like, whatever until you actually...
God, I wish I could think of more Nintendo examples. Maybe I'm just making it up and Nintendo doesn't do this all the time, but I feel like I've made that same observation before just internally, and I just can't place it.
Splatoon.
You're probably thinking of Splatoon.
Oh, Splatoon!
That squid game.
Oh, it's the Splatoon.
Squids. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Splatoon.
Very exciting squids.
God damn it. Now this is just going to occupy my brain for the rest of the night and I'm not going to get anywhere with it. So I have to stop thinking about
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm actually, I'm trying to think of that too.
Sorry, I ruined the podcast.
Now I can't
Everyone stop thinking about this bullshit thing that I said that's probably not real.
All I'm thinking about is Splatoons and how I want to play Splatoons.
Do you?
I do.
So it's an online game.
Does it have split screen?
They said it will. I mean, it didn't in the demo. You know, in the demo it was all, you know, squad based, 4-on-4, 4v4.
Is it like an arena type situation? Or
kind of, yeah.
Look at the logo. The logo is exactly the thing that I'm describing.
It's what you think it is.
Yeah, Splatoon.
Yeah. Yes,
exactly. That just belongs on a kid's board game box.
Yeah. With the 2 O's or I's.
Splatoon.
Yeah.
Squids.
Multiplayer, like fast-paced but kind of casual arena stuff I really like. I like games where the win condition is really visible in situations like that.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane because it has no bearing being compared to this at all because it's a puzzle game. But I really like Choo Choo Rocket, and I know that's an insane.
I know
that's an insane comparison, but when you play multiplayer Choo Choo Rocket, just like the area that the game can take place on is fixed. And it's very visually clear exactly what's happening with the flow of the game because you're just like, okay, mice are disappearing into this hole, or they're disappearing into someone else's hole, or they're disappearing into the mouth of a fucking cat.
There's a million cats running around.
So the idea that you dominate by way of taking over more of the board visually and that gives you a mechanical advantage is really interesting to me. I don't know. Maybe it's cool.
No, I agree.
Maybe it's called Splatoon though.
Splatoon.
It's probably
that's Splatoon, which is not even what I didn't quite know what that was going to be, but I guess that's
what do you mean? What did you think it would have been?
I didn't know what it would be, but it's that.
Of course, it's that.
God, Splatoon.
I mean, there is a board game from the early '90s called Splat, and you had to whack bugs, and it was. I think there was clay involved too. Actually, it's all coming together now.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
It's definitely in the like Mr. Bucket territory of
Mr. Bucket.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. And there were 2 games away from the show floor I saw that were amazing. I'll just mention them to be super quick.
Okay.
They're both C games, in fact.
Like
Costume Quest 2.
Like the ocean?
The letter C.
Okay.
The letter C. Costume Quest 2.
Yeah.
Because I love that stuff.
Me too.
And Cube and Star in Arbitrary Love, which is a really cute, really sweet little indie game that was, you know, a little bit Proteus-ish. You're just sort of interacting with the world and everything's sort of cute and visual and that sort of thing. And those are my games of E3.
Cool.
Yes.
So that's why you're excited about E3.
Yeah, I mean, because I got hands-on time with all these but No Man's Sky. Obviously. And they all kind of made me like video games again. I mean, seriously, typically I go to E3 and I'm like, shoot, man, McBro shoot, and I'm sad and I'm depressed and I'm depressed about the world.
Most of the time.
But this time I either serendipitously was assigned all these wonderful games or, you know, just kind of got lucky, you know, that sort of thing. Cool. And I definitely was able to, you know, personally take shots at the shoot man McBro shoot thing. I made a video that was just sort of like a supercut of all the white bros versus everybody else kind of thing. And
sure.
I did an opinion piece about how there were more severed heads than women presenters at the sort of like big press events and stuff like that. So I went in angry and sort of like became joyful as I played all these games. Yeah, it was the best way to do E3. I'm sure that'll never happen again in the universe. I think I just got very lucky, but yeah, there was a lot of things that were actually very fun.
Cool.
Yeah. And that was my E3 experience. I also got kicked out of a hot tub. I was pissed about that. But
you got kicked out of a hot tub?
I did at
what
the Figueroa
Hotel. What did you do to get kicked out of a hot tub?
I just went in. I didn't do anything.
Really?
Yeah, really.
That seems like you're not. That doesn't seem like
it was
what the whole
late,
story is.
and people were kind of hanging out by the hot tub, and people had their various limbs in the hot tub, and I was the only one to go completely in. Maybe
and they're like, no, limbs.
That's
limbs
exactly
only.
what happened. He's like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Oh.
I was really sad. It was the last night. I wanted to soak, you know.
Understandable.
It happens.
Sorry.
E3 ruined.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Yeah.
I want my money back.
Huh.
And that's our half.
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's take a break.
Good.
Video game.
That's how it was before, and it was sagging even more. It was just sagging wildly.
Oh, no.
Hold on.
Saggy pop screen. A far cry from the pooched pop screens of old.
The pooch is unrelated to the sag. Am I ready to talk about snacks?
This episode was brought to you by NatureBox, a snack subscription service that sends delicious treats to your home or office every month.
I thought you were going to say to your home or garden.
I mean, if your garden has a mailing address, then that is absolutely
to your gnome
acceptable.
Or garden.
Yes.
To your gnome or garden. I mean, if you address it to your gnome, and your garden has an address, that's fully possible.
Yes.
And your gnome can eat nature
That
box.
gnome could eat a box full of delicious snacks delivered monthly.
Yeah. We eat them all the time.
We do. We've talked about them on a lot of episodes.
We have, yeah. I still want more of those. We haven't gotten any more of those pineapple things since last time we talked about it. The dried pineapple slices.
Yeah.
I think about those sometimes.
That's questionable. I still think about the like Fig Newton-y sort of fruit bar that I got one of and then they all disappeared, which was the last thing I talked about as well. Like,
were those the blueberry nom noms or was that something else?
It was not the blueberry nom noms.
Okay, those were previous box. Yeah.
We've actually heard from a fair number of Idle Thumbs people who have signed up for Nature Box since we've started talking
Which probably
about
means there's a lot more who haven't told us
Yeah,
about
but people seem to like them. So people who tell us they like them. We like them.
Yeah.
They like us. Support
If
NatureBox.
you subscribe to NatureBox using naturebox.com/thumbs, why don't you tell us about it? You get 50% off your first NatureBox.
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 You eat them. Replace me saying you eat them with Indiana Jones saying you eat them.
Video games.
You should have done it, though, as Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage reads for NatureBox.
He does not.
Does he actually have a distinctive voice?
The wizard comes from the moon.
His like the timbre of his voice is interesting. I don't know.
Okay. I've only seen him in The Station Agent, I think.
Oh. He's in Game of Thrones a lot, and he is like... He sounds different than a lot of other people in that show, which is why I think he was picked for Destiny.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Makes
So,
sense.
I walked into the office over the weekend to come pick up the PlayStation 4, and Zach was here.
Wait, why were you picking up the PlayStation?
Because I wanted to take it home to play Destiny at home over the weekend. Because I said the word Destiny, I step on my joke story, but that's okay because I walked in. Well, it was an accidental setup that I enjoyed because I walked in and I was like, or Zach said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm taking the PlayStation 4 home," and he said, "Oh, you got a hot date?" And then I got to say I have a date with Destiny. And I was really happy because it wasn't on purpose. Because he asked me that, and I was the most pleased person in the world.
Oh my god! Did his head explode? Zach is someone who would appreciate that.
No, he just said, "Well, I handed that to you, didn't I?" And
He didn't give you a little high five.
I think in his mind he exploded. I saw like
Did he give a little half smirk?
Yeah, I saw a glint in his eye.
That's what he does.
Yeah, no. I got the mental, like I got the. His eyes said it all, and what they said was like a thumbs up of approval.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
Like when you see,
You're making gestures at me, but no one knows what that is.
It's a thumbs up.
That's not what you're doing.
He's doing a thumbs up with his eye right
Yeah.
now.
The thumbs up sort of sleazy leer is basically...
God.
Zach gave me a really sleazy, like enticing eyebrow raise.
Giving someone at a bar a sleazy leer, then saying that's a thumbs up.
Only Joe Biden is allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I ended up finally getting to play Destiny, and I thought it was like when I started, it was at 10:15 on Sunday night, and I thought that meant that I only had like an hour and a half before the alpha shut down. It turns out that it ran for another entire day after that. So I only ended up getting like a little over an hour with the game.
Oh.
That's pretty extreme. And of everyone who has ever been on Idle Thumbs, I'm probably the worst person to have been the one who ended up going and playing the Destiny Alpha because, like, I played a few hours of Halo 4. I got my ass handed to me a couple times in original Halo 1 multiplayer. And other than that, the only Bungie games I've ever played were on my Macintosh in the 90s.
Like Marathon?
Yeah. Like Marathon and Myth and Oni.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I feel bad even talking about Destiny too much on the cast. But, like, basically when I was playing it, I was personally not enjoying it a whole lot. Like, I could tell there was stuff going on that were it to ever successfully get its hooks into me, it very much would, because it's just like...
Sure.
Yeah.
It feels like a game that has been mentally gestating inside of Blizzard for a long-ass time. And it feels like... I mean, it's first-person mechanics that feel very much of the Halo school, where it's like even just switching weapons around, reloading them, the way that when you're engaged in combat with enemies, it's reasonably like quick exchanges with guys who are very good at sort of like strafing behind cover and hiding from you for a while, then popping back out. Like the sort of really nice, like iconic posed animation of all the characters. Like it feels very much like Halo in the moments, and like your character at the start of the game, at least in the alpha, you have a hover bike that looks exactly like the hover bikes from Return of the Jedi that you can summon at any point, and they basically I only know the Warthog in Halo. They use Warthog controls. Like it's just Bungie game to the max. Like you turn the camera and your guy sort of turns to adjust, but it just
those are the best vehicle controls.
Yeah,
for
it's
consoles,
fantastic,
so.
and it just races all over the sort of like outer areas of the levels. Once you get inside an enclosed area, you can't summon the bike, so you can just have that. You have your own personal like miniature fast Warthog-esque vehicle at your beck and call. When you just press a button and it just materializes and then dematerializes. So like it feels like all that stuff's there, but then it's also an MMO, so it exists inside of this gigantic other humongous layer where you're building up a character and you have character customization, and as you go on quests, all these things happen. There's a like whole big communal space that exists entirely in third person where you're walking around talking to other people and talking to NPCs. And then it also has, at least inside the alpha, the third big component was the multiplayer, which I didn't actually get to, but it seems like it's a very structured kind of half in world, half in the UI version of the Halo multiplayer stuff. But it it feels like starting with Halo, Bungie always has been ahead of the curve as far as the connective tissue of the meta experience of their games go.
Yeah,
and this is just like going all in on that in a way that I don't know if I've seen before, where like the fact that you're in an MMO is completely seamless and effectively irrelevant, at least in the alpha. It's like you press play, you're walking around in the overworld doing what you think is ostensibly a single player campaign, and there's just another guy there for a while, like Journey or something. Just you'll see a guy in a firefight with some enemies and you don't have to worry about him, it's irrelevant. And then you'll go farther into the level and you'll suddenly just get dumped into an experience where there's just a shitload of other people and you're like, okay, and then you're just back off doing your own thing, and it just felt like that was happening and not even relevant if I didn't want it to be relevant, which I didn't because I don't like MMOs at all.
Right.
But just the whole.
There's no car alarm and just
there's a circus that's about to come by.
Jesus,
uneducated guy talking about Destiny. Like just load this stuff up, but just the like superstructure of this game is impressive in how just formidable and present it is, but also how well thought out and invisible it is. And that was the thing that was the most striking to me about this game, which I don't know if I'm ever going to actually care about.
Yeah,
like. Everyone is cracking up about the like that wizard came from the moon line that's in that game.
Wizard came from the moon.
Yeah. Yes. I didn't even hear that line because I was so just like being overwhelmed by how bad I was at the game and how unable I was to kill the 16 minions of the wizard, let alone that fucking moon wizard who just
lunar wizard
rocked my life over and over again.
It is my favorite. It is like, Jake, you will be unsurprised that I say this. It is one of my favorite things when because the internet has the capacity to get like wrapped up in kind of mutual obsession, and like most of the time that takes the form of like outrage, often legitimate outrage, but like predictable nonetheless, right? Like often people will get like wrapped up in something that is like totally valid to get wrapped up in, but you can kind of already see where the arc's going to go. Mm-hmm. My favorite version of that is when everyone briefly gets mutually obsessed with something that is of absolutely no consequence, and so it is not predictable because it will just go in like all kinds of directions because it is not relevant to anything.
Right.
Like that wizard came from the moon. I've really enjoyed the last 48 hours of just the internet exploding over the presence of this line in a video game that like, especially because it was a timed alpha that if you were going to play it, you had to play it for this one time. Like everyone who
and that's also
that line,
the Wizard on the Moon is also like the first major encounter that you hit like 15 minutes into this thing. Like you're just sort of wandering around the overworld.
I wish I played this goddamn alpha. I don't have a PS4.
For that moment.
Well, also I really like Halo.
Yeah, no. When I was playing it, I couldn't tell.
But yeah, also for that line
because. I was basically thinking
because I don't know what it is. I don't know. This is a like new Bungie sci-fi game. What the one line everyone knows is that wizard came from the moon.
I don't know a ton about the meta story because I like about the lore of this because I haven't really been paying attention to it. But the only world map that you're given is the moon, which has like the outpost on it, which has like the MMO town and like the stuff you can wander around in.
Moon, right? Like
it's the moon, and then below that on the map is just Earth.
Mm-hmm.
which is like abandoned sort of modern sci-fi. It feels like one of the Tom Cruise movies we talked about last week. Or like one of the, it's in that era of like super
shitty now in the future.
Yeah, and you go down to Earth and you go to what is ostensibly Russia,
old Russia and new Russia. Right?
There's the okay. I can't tell. Okay, yeah. The whole time that I was playing, all that I was thinking is, does this pass or fail that Chris Remo is going to be interested in this test?
Right.
I was running a virtual Chris Remo machine in my brain that was like trying to assess stuff because I like. You drop down into old Russia of old Earth or whatever, and the environment. They only give you one map in the alpha, which you run through in a couple different contexts, at least as far as I got. Where the first thing was a really guided, go to this one place, do this one thing. Like you run through some corridors, you fight the fucking moon wizard, which is just in a like sci-fi like flickering light old warehouse full of pipes and just alien monsters, and then. When you pop out of that, you're back up on your ship, which is the sort of select all different things. And if you drill back down into that same space, you're then like scanning for artifacts and exploring caves and clearing rooms and doing more sort of MMO questy type stuff. But that was kind of intermingled with first person firefights and stuff.
Yeah.
Where was I going to go with this? I forget what you said that made me start talking about it.
If it passes the Chris Remo
test. Yeah, what was I thinking about in terms of the Chris Remo test?
The Moon Wizard?
Oh, the Moon Wizard is stupid. The Moon Wizard is just a hovering sort of glowy alien that looks like a Halo monster. Like it just looks like
really?
The Moon Wizard is not like a resplendent like robed star speckled character.
So you know what so obviously I wasn't expecting it to be just like a full on kind of pointy hat wizard, but like definitely one of the things.
He's not like a conjurer, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, one of the things I was sort of passively hoping for from this game, and this is a totally unfair thing to hope for, right? Because
I remember what I was going to say, but go ahead.
Oh no, you
no. Just, it's finish your thought because I'm off in a different direction.
Okay, I was just going to say this game feels like it's right on the edge, or like could have been fictionally gone in a direction that I would have been really excited about, but increasingly I feel like it's probably not actually.
Like less self-serious, that kind of thing?
Well, that's one thing. Yeah. That wasn't the thing I had in mind, but like that, sure, like I'll take that too, right?
Yeah.
But like the thing I more had in mind was just like elements of old school sci-fi mysticism.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like, so...
For all I know, those were there and they weren't touched on.
And maybe it is, right? Like the only reason I say that is because you hear someone talk about like a wizard on the moon... And then you see the images that they always publish from this game, which have people in these like tattered flowing robes, you know, like that like conjures images of like, so Sarah read Dune recently for the first time. And like, I read that book in college years and years and years ago, and I hadn't thought about it much since then. And then we saw that movie, Jodorowsky's Dune, which is about like the attempts of Alejandro Jodorowsky to make like a Dune movie. And it's like this crazy, super mystical version of sci-fi that I feel like has really declined in the mainstream ever since Star Wars. Like Star Wars has bits of that in the first Star Wars movies, but they kind of like increasingly are stripped out of Star Wars until they're basically not there anymore in what Star Wars is now.
Until the prequels literally say there is no mysticism, there's only specific scientific, like made up science.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like that flavor of that like kind of first half of the 20th century, like, and a little bit more than that version of like flavor of sci-fi is something that I kind of wish were more represented. And so that a lot of the bits of Destiny that have like made it out.
That could totally be what's going on. I just didn't pick up on it because I was so busy getting wrecked by that moon wizard.
Yes, and I still hope that that's the case. But like I was reading the synopsis of it of the premise on Wikipedia, and obviously Wikipedia is just a summary. It doesn't actually like convey things like tone, right? And I missed the alpha, which I'm really bummed about, but I hope to play the beta when that's out in July. And it just, everything in it sounds like so bog standard. It's like Destiny's in a post-apocalyptic setting, like following a prosperous period of exploration, peace, and technological advancement known as the Golden Age. An event known as the Collapse saw the dissolution of these colonies. Those living on Earth were saved by the Traveler. Like, an ability to wield an unknown power, often referred to as the Light. Like it just feels like every single like kind of just bog standard sci-fi thing
with the right like, actual tone encapsulating all of that stuff could be evocative as shit.
I know,
but my feeling at first blush was that the characters moved around very similarly to Halo, and how like the sort of I don't have enough experience with Halo combat to be able to talk about it, but just seeing a guy come out, take a few very confident steps from behind something, shoot at me a couple times. Then when I shoot at him, he does an amazingly like cleanly animated like sidle into a roll behind a thing and is just hidden away from me. And then I can feel like I'm strafing around a pillar at the same time as he is. Like that reminds me of certain enemy types in Halo.
Yeah, that stuff's amazing in Halo.
But I know we give this word a lot of shit recently in this post Watch Dogs world, but I feel like for as goofy looking as they are, the alien design in the Halo universe, at least of sort of the aliens of Halo 1, those enemies are fucking iconic. Like,
oh, totally. I totally agree. That's where I think Halo 4 kind of fell down a bit.
Yeah. On sight, you can recognize them all, but also just like the color splotches of them. Like if someone did a really weird impressionistic picture and said, what video game character is this? You'd be like, that's probably a Halo alien. Or maybe the marathon alien that it's kind of evocative of.
Yeah.
But with this...
it's true. They do...
and
Bungie traditionally is great at that.
I didn't have enough time to really get familiar with them, and most of the encounters that I had were in very dark spaces and stuff. Because it was like inside this underground weird bunker thing in Russia. But like that feeling of just like you wanted this to be interesting more than you wanted it to be cool aesthetically of Halo was not quite... It felt like this... It felt like Destiny... tips more into the just kind of it's cool.
Right.
But the thing that I wanted to talk about when I was talking about my Chris Remo sensor was that the first level is actually the setting of it is an abandoned futuristic Soviet space shuttle launch center. Which is too many adjectives on top of it, but basically you're inside of a, sort of...
That's good.
Yeah, open, craggy outdoor world.
I guess it's not passing the test right now.
No, that's actually...
With just sort of weird caverns and bunkers and stuff inside of it, but the entire thing, like, on the top of the hill that I never quite got up to, were just 4 launch towers in various states of decay, 2 of which just had fucking space shuttles on them. So just this entire, like, that part of it felt...
What do you mean space shuttles?
Like space shuttles, like
rockets or the actual
like
the space shuttle,
like the space shuttle, but like a design slightly more streamlined.
So this
like
isn't Soviet. This is like Russian or post. I mean, this is
it's set in Russia, but it's like well, you know how there is like people found the abandoned Russian space shuttle program has like people found warehouses with like basically Soviet knockoff of a space shuttle that never launched because the Soviet Union collapsed. But this is like in the future.
So that's like persisted that whole time.
I don't know. I mean, I get the feeling that what this actually is hundreds of years in the future or X years in the future, something evocative or like something representative of the space shuttle program reoccurred to get people
I get it. Yeah,
but it's just that style of imagery of that launch pad and the like sort of wedge space shuttle design and the rockets and stuff and just being in this world as this guy and like that being the setting that they chose to just frame all the stuff in your first impression of the game is really strong where you get into the game and just look up and you're like, holy fuck, it's a weird, like, slightly different and futuristic version of, Cape Canaveral or whatever. I don't know. It just, the fact that the connections are also just from the moon to the Earth, it's not, at least, what's implied in the demo, at least, is like, that's one of the other, that's one of the things that was, like, promising to me, right? Is that it's not just, like, ambiguously, kind of vast space travel. You pop around the planets because it's easy. It's 1, the alpha, and 2, I didn't play enough of it, so it's hard to know if there's anything there thematically. It feels like people who enjoy the fuck out of Halo are probably going to have their lives destroyed by this game because it's Halo.
Despite all the sort of things I said about tone, like there are so few. I've said this on the podcast, obviously multiple times, but like there are so few multiplayer shooters that I actually really enjoy, like truly enjoy. That I'll probably enjoy this anyway, right? Because Halo is just one of the only ones that I really care about.
I feel like this game for me would occupy the same space as like a Titanfall, like a game that so many people that I know and respect their opinions have said, "Hey, this is awesome." On
the development side, it's a similar thing too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like developer of iconic series like splits off and like goes independent,
does something slightly different,
makes sort of weird spiritual follow up to their like different
their
version
big
of their
ass
thing.
franchise, basically.
And you're totally right, and I think what you say is true, but for and specifically for me, I couldn't really get that into Titanfall, as I could never really get that into Call of Duty, and I know Titanfall is like very different Call of Duty, and Titanfall is way closer to my wheelhouse than Call of Duty is for a lot of reasons. But it still just wasn't quite for me, whereas Halo is like the one that's for me, like the multiplayer shooter that
I'm bummed that you didn't get to play the alpha.
I know, me too,
and you'd very much be able to sit down and probably just immediately be like affluent in this game.
Like, well, yeah, I'm also, and I think also just be able to probably speak to the subtleties about like what they retained and what they didn't, in like a particular.
Yeah, I want you to play the beta so we can talk about it.
Yeah. I think that's next month.
July, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I haven't played an MMO of any kind probably since I played a few months of WoW ages and ages ago, so I don't know how they work at this point.
I don't. That part I'm like.
That's where like I felt like an old man like waking up from a coma or something. Like all things combined when I logged into this game by not logging in at all. I didn't do anything. I just created a single player character the way that I would in anything else. I also found out that I definitively am a person who hates character creation. I do not give a fuck.
I know. I don't really care about it either.
Like, I don't want to random roll it because I never liked the aesthetics of the random rolled character, but I also I don't want to make one that
you
looks
don't like
I don't want to make one that
make
looks
yourself for like 2 hours.
No, I don't want to make one that looks like me. I don't want to make one that looks like a weird person. I just want a specific person to be handed to me. I don't care if they're a blank slate. I just want like someone.
You
that
don't
looks
want to make Deadpool and like run around in old Russia.
No, so I ended up just making a guy with yellow eyes, yellow hair, and yellow spray paint on his face, and a yellow jacket. It's fine.
Yellow jacket.
Or whatever, anything yellow that I could make.
You just pick a color and stick with it.
Yeah, but the experience of the game just sort of saying, you don't have any friends list, you don't have anything going on, you probably don't care, so we're not going to make you care. You're inside the game, and you don't have to be conscious of what you're connected to or what's happening under the hood. The experience will just take care of itself for you. Like, that was the crazy thing.
That's awesome.
That stuff is passively stressful to me. When I have to, like, when I play a game that tries to,
there's like parallax of choice with paralyzation of choice.
Yeah, like games that sort
with
of
no context
try and seamlessly introduce multiplayer stuff into them without just saying this is a multiplayer game and just fucking join a multiplayer game. It's like the most stressful experience for me because I'm like, I don't want to have to worry about, I don't know what that game even does multiplayer really, but like, I just don't ever want to have to worry about someone else like being bothered by the way I'm doing it or like affecting them or me being affected by them.
It seems like you have to get much farther into the game for it to start mattering. Maybe that's not true, but I mean, the impression
that it sounds like
the impression they gave in the alpha is just kind of, you'll encounter other people, and I imagine eventually you start. I also I'm sure there are people who put every waking hour of their lives that the alpha was live into it, whereas I only was able to put in like a little over an hour.
Yeah, right.
But it just, the game did not give a shit one way or the other how I was choosing to interface with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were pieces of interface there, obviously, for like if you have friends and you form a party and you have crews and all that stuff.
Of all games, a Bungie multiplayer shooter is one where I could imagine eventually ending up in that situation. I just don't like feeling like I have to be.
Yeah. It feels like they're trying to build it in a way such that as you get more comfortable with the game and as you want to do more and more things in it, you can then find other people to play with and party up with them, or you just don't ever have to interact with them, at least as far as unless you jump into a multiplayer arena match and just play straight up.
Yeah.
Whatever. It was called some stupid high fantasy name for itself. Everything's very designed in this game. Oh,
Moon Wizard mode.
Probably Moon Wizard mode. The Moon Wizard's duel.
Moon Wizard unlocked.
Man. So good.
Yeah. Oh, the one other cheesy, tiny detail that I wanted to talk about, which I'm sure a bunch of people noticed and talked about, but Ollie said it to me as well. He just said, "How about that cursor, huh?" It's because the UI in this game is cursor-based, which is insane on a console.
Crazy.
It's so good. It's so refreshing to
this
not...
game coming to PC?
Activision has said it seems like it'd be a good fit for PC, but we haven't announced it yet.
Oh.
So
good. Yeah.
So probably.
Probably at some point, but yeah, they have their official word is we haven't announced it, and we, whatever. It seems like a good fit was the most recent quote, but no, it's not cursor driven in a way that feels like you would translate it directly to a mouse either. The actual controls, and this is just like menu stuff, although there's a fair amount of menu stuff because you equip your, there's full character upgrade path and equip stuff like you'd find in an MMO. There's a lot of menus for just interacting with everything else in the game, but it's so strange because I didn't even think about it when I first was playing it, and then I got a couple screens into the menu and I was like, "Wow, I'm driving a console super like ultra AAA game with a cursor, which as a UI designer I always want to do on a console, and I'm always told you're not allowed to do it. And now I see why you're not allowed to do it, because only this game does it in a way that's nice. Like the way that the acceleration on the cursor works is really nice. Mm-hmm. Also, as the cursor moves like from left to right, the UI very subtly counter scrolls from right to left underneath it. So the area that you have to traverse is actually lower. So you have really high cursor fidelity, and the world underneath it also is scrolling at like a slightly lower speed, as if it's parallax a little further behind the cursor. And it's like that combination of the world,
the way that like a joystick would theoretically operate.
It just feels though like the UI is moving to meet you as you're moving towards it. But you don't overshoot because the acceleration is really well done. It's just like
Bungie is so preposterously good at like micro tuning tiny like physics and movement and timing variables. It's amazing. Like I really think that's one of the reasons I love Halo so much. Halo is still kind of a polarizing game for especially a lot of like hardcore gaming people. But
it's not Quake 3.
No, but I also really like Quake 3. But
I don't know if you can like both those games.
It's not allowed.
Yeah, but I just really feel like Bungie traditionally has been so just bizarrely good at that stuff in a way that so few developers
They've been detail oriented like that basically for their entire existence. It's really weird.
Yeah. That's an impressive value to be able to maintain over.
I know why they as a studio have a good consistent heritage of touch and feel and interactivity, because they started as a Mac company.
Yeah,
obviously.
Oh. Yes.
I'm kind of serious about that.
I know you are.
Yeah.
What? I mean, people who use Unity are always like, oh, it's so weird that it's like so cohesive and feels like a well thought out interface experience. That's because it started off made by a bunch of Macintosh developers who actually have to care about that because Macintosh is Apple Computer. Bungie, Macintosh.
It is weird that Bungie started off as a Mac developer.
It's not weird if you think about how good their UI is.
Oh. That was a literal knee slapper right there.
Yeah, Chris slapped his knee.
That just totally happened. That was good.
Yeah,
when you think about that classic Macintosh game, Myth: The Fallen Lords. I think that was also on PC. Actually, I think by that time
Myth I think was all on PC. But
if you think about that classic Pathways into Darkness,
Pathways into Darkness and Marathon, I think was all Mac.
Man, Marathon, the one game that Mac users could be like, check this out, we have this. It's like, it's...
You know what's the other crazy thing about that? Is that all the weird lore that they established in Marathon has just kind of weirdly just migrated through all their sci-fi games.
Yep.
All the way up to probably now. Like they had like preceded Destiny references in Halo ODST, Halo 3 ODST.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And so like, but they have this just chain of like the concept of rampancy, which is a thing that happens to Cortana in Halo, like came from Marathon, and like they have all like the iconography design, like Bungie has this very
Marathon
specific,
to Halo especially is like
Bungie has this very specific iconographical aesthetic that has been maintained since Marathon. It's really weird. It's like a strange thing to be able to maintain at a video game studio.
They probably just think it's cool.
I'm sure they do, but I mean, the number of people who are still there from the Marathon days is probably, I think, like 2 people. There's like Jason Jones is still there, and there's maybe like a couple guys, but like,
that's got to just be like a keep the flame lit.
No,
like
totally.
Don't let the weird torch of Bungie legacy lore go out.
That's what's interesting about it, right? Is that is like institutionally.
You know that there's people there that like when finally some executive producer comes in years from now is like, stop putting this shit in the game. They're like, I'm out. I'm out. Like, you just started working here 5 years ago. Yeah, that's why I work here. Like, you know that guy is going to be there. It's like,
sure.
It's just not the same.
Yeah. God, also, we never talked about Marty O'Donnell, like, getting fired from Bungie. I don't think on the podcast. Yeah, the composer.
Do you know how much of his music is in Destiny?
Apparently a lot.
Because the music in Destiny...
Well, he said a lot. He's on Twitter after he got fired. He said a lot of his music was in.
It's different tonally than Halo, but it has the same sort of like clarity that music has, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense at all, where you're
I've grown. I was like not the hugest Marty O'Donnell fan ages ago, and I've increasingly grown to appreciate his work because it's so, well, not all of it, but so much of it is so uncharacteristic for like a modern sci-fi video game because of what you say, like the clarity of it, like it's very distinct and specific. As opposed to just being like
The thing that
sounds like a big orchestra.
The thing that I like the least about Halo is the main Halo theme, which I think is the thing that everyone identifies with the most strongly. It's fine.
The Halo ODST soundtrack, though, that smoky sax.
Oh.
Yeah.
You
ever play Halo ODST?
Orbital Drop Shock Trooper.
Wow, I didn't even know that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I love that game. That's my favorite Halo campaign.
I did. I played that one, and I actually played a ton of Reach. I weirdly played...
You played the spin-offs only?
I played the spin-offs, and not really the main series games.
Reach was still a Bungie game, though.
Yeah, no,
whereas Halo 4 was not.
ODST was Bungie, too, wasn't it? Yeah,
they were Bungie games.
You said you played Reach and ODST. You played the offshoots.
The weird games.
You only play Halo games where you don't play Master Chief.
Basically. I played a little bit too, but not
That's one of the things that was cool about ODST.
Yeah, I dug it.
Yeah, I really like that campaign a lot.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was a long time ago.
It had that smoky sax in it.
Yeah. That's why I play games. Smoky Sax and Moon Wizards.
I mean, those are decent reasons. Those are pretty decent reasons to play particular games.
Those are good reasons.
You guys want to do some reader mail?
Yeah.
Sure.
God, I wish I could play Destiny. I don't even know if I'm going to like it necessarily. I just really like...
I know, it did pass the test apparently. And at least it confirmed for you that you still want to keep looking at it.
Yes, that's definitely true, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, the moment that I got near an enemy and saw him just sort of doing the really Halo animation characters, the way Halo enemies are animated, especially the classic ones, they almost look like claymation to me. The way that they move, because their silhouettes are so considered and the way that they move, but it's also there's not a ton of really bouncy secondary action. It's just sort of leg lifts and sets down, other leg lifts and sets down.
It's really, really deliberate. Yeah.
But when I saw guys moving like that, I was like, yeah, Chris has to fucking play this game.
God, do we want to read more Star Citizen stuff? There's even more rabbit hole to be explored.
Yeah, we could fall into Star Citizen a little more.
So Ben Craddock, who assuming this is the same guy, I worked with this guy at Shack News years ago. He writes, "Hey guys, you're talking about the first-party-esque silence that sits over details about who's working on what with Star Citizen, and how some studios seem to have no details whatsoever. A few articles recently came out covering those details. One describes Foundry 42, the studio heading up the single-player segment. Apparently there are a bunch of people who jumped ship from Traveler's Tales with Chris Roberts' brother Aaron. Traveler's Tales does the Lego, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter games. The other describes how the massive pile of associated studios are divvying up the project. Current developer headcount is approximately 268.
Wow.
Here's the most relevant quote from that one. Robert says the modular nature of the game allows each studio to lead development on a different aspect. Foundry 42 is handling the single-player Squadron 42. The Los Angeles team is focused on the combat. Austin and Montreal are developing the persistent universe and planetside action. And Star Citizen's first-person shooter sections are being developed in Colorado. What the hell?
Oh my God.
In backer updates, the Colorado studio developing the FPS feature set is called Redacted because apparently they can't tell us who's working on it.
Oh my God.
Here's a list of all current studio names, outsourcing and otherwise, taken from the monthly backer report. Cloud Imperium Santa Monica on ship combat, Cloud Imperium Austin on Online Universe, Foundry 42 on single player, Behavior Interactive doing mostly UI, but many other parts as well, CGBot on ships, Redacted on FPS, Void Alpha on planetside environments, Turbulent.ci on web development, Moon Collider on AI, and a team of freelance artists, including a ton of names. Well, that gives some sense of the scope of this thing. Anyway, that's it. Cheers, guys. Best of luck in your endeavors, Ben. And then he links the articles. Two of them were on Develop Online, and one of them was just a backer report on robertspaceindustries.com.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, that is bonkers.
Oh, yeah. Actually, sorry, to jump back to Destiny for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
The complexity and multifaceted nature of Destiny immediately also made me think of Star Citizen and made me wonder how the fuck Star Citizen is going to make all this stuff combine as seamlessly as Destiny does. Because when I saw Destiny, it's like you're in your ship, and then you can go up to the overworld area, but then inside there it was like walk into the marketplace, walk into the ship hangar where there's millions of ships and mechanics who you can talk to about all this stuff, walk outside and just hang out with other characters, and that just all happened. And I had no knowledge of whether I was connected to things or if I was partying with friends or if I was on any server or whatever. Pressed the button, flew back to my ship, jumped into the looked at the multiplayer thing for a second, jumped back down onto Earth, and it was just it all just happened without having to think about anything that was going on. And hearing that list of that number of studios with a separate team doing UI and connective tissue. It's like Star Citizen is either going to do exactly what Destiny's doing, or it is not. And if it does not, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
In a like just
sure.
I don't know, the amount of.
No, it's definitely I mean, if it does do what Destiny does, it will have been an incredible development feat for sure.
Yeah, it was staggering to look at Destiny and see that Bungie had decided to bite that much off, and that all of it at least gave the impression like in a controlled alpha of working cohesively.
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas like just a first-person shooter component being developed by an unnamed studio in Colorado.
Yeah, are they in a bunker under a mountain?
What studios are in Colorado? There's a few.
So in Colorado, God, wasn't there? There were the guys who made that MMO Jumpgate, I think, and the Lego online thing. I think they were in Colorado, right? God, it's been so long since I had to have this kind of knowledge just at the forefront of my mind.
I mean, it's got to be a tremendous worry. Whoever's coordinating all of that, like,
oh God, I know they must have an army of producers. I don't know how.
Seriously.
Yeah, it feels like
Dire Wolf Digital in Denver.
There was a Disney studio there for a while.
Lim
I think
Interactive in Colorado. Backflip Studios.
Redacted.
Redacted under the mountain.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever.
In a bunker.
Anyway, so we got another Star Citizen email from Yalknos Redna, who wrote the crazy, like, just primer on all that stuff last week. So he says, so when you guys commented on in last week's episode, nailed it. Also, $90 per registered player sounds about right. One more thing on top of lifetime insurance, permadeath. This is another layer of complexity I didn't mention in my last email. When you sign up on the forum, when you buy a ship, you have a secret login name and only you know it. You also have a handle that you and only those you send it to will know. It's displayed under your character name on the forum, and you can get snooper-type equipment to tell the handle of others on close inspection. What?
Oh my God.
You then have your character's name. This name is only applicable to that character. When that dude dies, actually they said it would take a couple times of dying, that character is done, finished. You go to the character creator again and make a new character. The new character is the benefactor to your first character. So permadeath for the ultra-hardcore role players, but not quite permadeath, as in you keep all your stuff, including your UE citizenship, as it can be inherited as well, which grants you perks as being a citizen should. You gain citizenship and Star Citizen by joining the military arm of the UEE. In real world speak, you have to play the single player Squadron 42 before playing the multiplayer Star Citizen portion. This doesn't mean you couldn't skip Squadron 42 with the intent of playing as an outlaw in Star Citizen. This premise is based on Highline Starship Troopers. You gain citizenship through military service. I was so confused when I signed up for this thing to buy my $40 ship. I was so confused as to why it was making me choose all these different names and why they weren't allowed to be the same as each other. I'm like, just make it all be my name just so I can log in with that.
So you're probably like Chris Remo, also Chris Remo 2, Chris Remo.
There's like dashes and shit in there.
So all of these are now someone can just guess and steal all of your shit.
Exactly. Also,
Star Citizen.
Insurance. It was stated that it would take time to refund your ship based on its abundance. Having a cheaper ship, Aurora for instance, that's one of the ones I have. Or that is the one.
Having a shitty junk pile.
Means you will likely get that ship back instantly, like having a Ford Fiesta. Having a high-end premium Mercedes S-Class means you might have to wait a bit. I'm not sure if this has changed. There's also upgrade insurance. This covers any post-ship purchase upgrades you make, like better guns and engines, etc. Ship insurance covers the basic hull and whatever comes on it. This covers your ride no matter where you go. Upgrade insurance, on the other hand, only covers your upgrade to a certain extent by varying degrees based on high security, low security, null security. So there's deductibles and shit and all kinds.
Yeah, this is.
Okay, it was also stated that ships won't be that hard to earn in game. There's also a loan system to get your first ship that you pay back gradually as you play. Jesus! Ships are mostly priced the way they are now for funding. I don't think you'll be able to buy things straight up with cash after launch. You can get a certain allotment of credits per day. Their proposed system has had critics on the forum, and I'm not sure how or if it will end up like they've proposed. Semi-pay, free-to-play optional, I don't know. Finally, then he links this commercial, the 300 series, the next generation is now.
Those car commercials are crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to finish this guy's email and then I want to talk about those because those were amazing. Your views on this whole thing have been interesting. It pretty much sums up my internal battle between grown-up and 8-year-old me. Part of me says my body is ready and the other part is just, wow, they're genius. The whole thing is that Star Citizen is strange on the evil mastermind scale, which makes it an interesting topic. Super love the show. Thanks again, Clay. Yeah, so, God, someone else in a different email emailed us like a roundup of all of the ship commercials that Roberts Space Industries has released to promote these ships that you can currently buy with real money. Danielle, have you seen these?
I've not seen this. This is all new to me.
These were incredible. These were like basically lifestyle car commercials where there's like this one that he mentions, the 300 series.
Is that the truck one?
No, that's like the BMW one where it's like
right.
luxury vehicle. There was one that was for like a like I guess mining or smuggling vehicle or something. That was pitched like a Ford F-150 ad.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You gotta haul stuff and wear big gloves. Like
Yeah.
that. Like,
it was amazing. It was
awesome.
pitch perfect. That one especially.
They were terrifying because they made me want to buy those ships. It was outrageous. I kind of want to just put the audio for that freight smuggler one or like a slice of it in. Like,
yeah, sure.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
Can we just listen to it really quick or like load it up somehow? Because I kind of want you to see this because they're
awesome.
crazy. Like they have car commercials don't work on me very well, at least because I know that I can never afford a car that's in them, and also because I've seen a million car commercials. But seeing one for a spaceship that probably doesn't cost that much money in a video game and is cool worked.
I mean, that's amazing.
I looked at it and said, "That's how they're making all this money." And I don't know if that's actually true, but holy crap, it seems like it might be.
A comm comes over the spectrum with a job. All it says is an amount of cargo, a delicate timetable, and a risky route. You know you've got 42 cubic meters to pack full of profit. We're talking pressurized and shock-resistant construction, so whatever you put in here comes out the same way. You got two Arc Duo 400 engines. Their award-winning colloid ion technology gives you maximum fuel efficiency while keeping your sig low. You come across a couple of pirates.
Hey, Lancer, you know the drill.
But with a weapon system featuring trusted names like Bering and Cronin, you aren't too worried.
Commercial vessel, Freelancer class. Brake tags look good. Cleared for landing at Area 18.
Yeah.
You're the one they come to when they need a job done right. Because you trust one ship.
Here?
Misk Freelancer. Built for life.
So crazy.
Awesome.
I kind of just want a pickup truck now, I think, actually. Like, I don't know.
Only if it comes with a Kronig weapon system.
There's another one that's basically like a Honda Civic ad
Right,
or
like-
something where it's like,
Maybe what you want is a little more cargo space. Maybe you want a roof rack. It's
Yep.
like it's the one that's aimed for like you just got out of college and have your first
Yeah.
job and you kind of want a grown-up car,
Right.
but you can't quite afford it. So it's like,
so they can upsell you on all these
yeah,
little
the one's like the seats
better
slide
sound
out of the
system.
way.
That'll
Yeah,
be useful.
yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, the young adult car, the luxury car, the like cowboy freight truck one,
trucker.
and then they had one other one. I can't
They
remember
one that
what it
was like a high-end SUV style one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It has all the right music and the right voice narrators
Yep.
and stuff.
Yep.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, the
Like the fake Sam Elliott, basically, for this. Like,
Yep.
oh, I don't know.
God, the one for the one that is like a Civic was just a guy being like, I don't know, I guess could really use that cargo. It was sort of like young,
Right, but it's like-
hopeful kind of
Oh, but maybe
spunky guy.
Oh, right. And then he's like,
yeah.
that one's a little too high price for me, so I'll maybe drop it down one, but I'll keep the leather seat. Boop, like,
Actually, I should probably upgrade the power plant. I did like the leather seats on that LX, though. Yeah, perfect. All right, let's see what this baby can do.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Yeah,
And
it's
it was beautiful too. It was like really nicely animated and
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah, they did.
People say the
game
also just looks like that when you're running it too. I mean, obviously that's what you'd hope, given that it's all the assets. But like, in the Idle Forums thread for people were specifically saying they were shocked at how that actually does translate to be the case when you're playing the game.
Totally.
That guitar plays and that guy narrates your whole gameplay if you play through, if you've got that truck car.
Such a beer at the end. It was such a space beer.
I know, and the guy's just like a beefy kind of just dude.
Bald white dude with his space beer.
With his space beer and his freight mobile.
It's so perfect. Built for life.
Yeah, the logo even has like the metal with the embossed metal, and then it slams the slogan into it. Yeah. Anyway,
I want to buy that now. I don't even know what.
I don't even know what that is.
I want it.
So here's an E3 related email from Alex Colby. He says, "Hey Thumbs, recently discovered your podcast and want to say you're great. You've been helping me get through my monotonous work days. I'm listening to your latest episode as intrigued by Ori and the Blind Forest, so I went and looked up the clip shown at E3. I couldn't help but be amused at coming across the perfect example of exclusivity right after listening to you guys discuss it in the same episode. I agree the term's been tortured and manipulated for marketing purposes over the years, and although harmless, can be annoying to consumers. When I first saw the only on Xbox One banner on the Ori trailer, I got really upset, as I don't own one. I then noticed right above the trailer that it's also coming to PC, which I do have. It makes me question that term if I see it in other media for games now, and I feel like I'm going to have to do additional research every time I hear about exclusive if I want to know the truth about whether it's actually available or not. I trust the big brand companies even less, like they give a shit, but really it is just slightly frustrating as a consumer who likes to play games on console and PC to feel like you can just be ignored. They're exploiting marketing buzzwords just because they can at an event like E3. That's all. Sorry, I don't have anything more insightful to add. I should get back to work. You guys are great. Thanks for providing such a wonderful podcast. Regards, Alex." And then he has a screenshot of a video saying only on Xbox One, and then above it is a text line that says Ori and the Blind Forest is scheduled to launch later this fall simultaneously on Xbox One and Windows PC. How is that okay?
Exclusively on console. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, that game looks really pretty. I mean, I don't blame that person for wanting to play it. It looks awesome.
Yeah. Well, the reason I read this email is because it was just such a specific, absurd example of of that exact thing. And I didn't notice actually when I was screening the email that he had a screenshot of just the most brazen version of that.
It's a weird evolutionary thing though, right? Because like in the original Xbox era, like I remember, I mean, Nintendo's been all about that forever. Like the little like torn down corner on the N64 game saying it's only on Nintendo 64 and PlayStation, whatever. Yeah. But only on Xbox was the thing that was like at the end of every trailer for like E3 after E3. But now, as Steam has become relevant and as everyone's development cycle, or like the way that you make games is almost entirely develop it on PC and then make a build to a console, whereas older style was you actually built the game on console dev hardware and ran it live. Everyone's games build the PC, and Steam exists. So now it's sort of shaken out that it just means it's not on the other console.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the thinking...
It feels like that's probably what the thinking... Or what... Not to use your own words, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I didn't mean to hijack your sentence and then use your own language against you.
You can have it. It's good.
I guess it reveals that that's all that it ever meant, but the developers had no reason to put it on PC in the past.
Right, yeah. Like, it would have been actually
only on Xbox
a hardship
means
to do so, yeah.
Only on Xbox console, and it's always meant that. But yeah, there's no, like the one that I think of because it was the game that I was the most excited about that was an Xbox exclusive at the time was Psychonauts. Psychonauts was not coming out on the PC, in part because I bet Psychonauts didn't even build the PC in 2005.
Probably.
Like, I bet that like, let alone someone's going to play it with an Xbox controller on a PC, like, they're just, let alone someone's going to be able to download it. Like, there's the infrastructure wasn't really there.
It wasn't a standardized thing at all.
And then now that it is there, it turns out that console manufacturers still don't care that it's there, so they don't care if the word exclusive applies to that at all, because it doesn't. It's odd.
Totally. You're right, I think, historically, but the reality is you have guys like this guy who's like, oh, it's only on Xbox One, well, I guess I can't play it.
Right.
That sucks.
That's the part that's a little weird, because then like the Microsoft guy just goes, buy that Xbox One.
Yeah, exactly.
God damn it, I could have got it. And then you walk home with your Xbox One, and then it's in a Steam sale for $3.
Exactly.
Son of a bitch.
Exactly. Anyway, Microsoft doesn't want you to know that it's available on Microsoft Windows.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't think
cannibalize your own platform.
No, I know they don't care. They don't care at all.
I think it's that the Microsoft Games division would prefer that you did not know that it was in the Microsoft's like software group's operating system.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, that said, that gets completely into the insane territory of like Microsoft Xbox Entertainment Dashboard Division would prefer that you in fact did not know that it was out because they'd much rather you buy the complete house on like HD re-release or something.
That's true. I'm sure those groups have to fight for dashboard space.
That's at least I remember hearing like around like the first time the new Xbox experience came out on the 360 where they were pushing media way harder, that was like a shitty fucking time where like if like your game would be guaranteed marketing space by Microsoft and then they'd be like, oh, my hands are tied because we got this TV show.
Oh, no.
And like they bought out the whole front page like
Yeah.
we'll promote you next week, like, but I released this week. I imagine that stuff has been more sorted and streamlined in the meantime, but I'm sure that like bureaucratic madness must just be
I'm sure
everywhere.
there are shades of that remain.
And that's why I'm in constant fear that Steam is gonna like branch out and start supporting more stuff.
Yep.
Because with Steam, it's closer to dealing with Google or something, where it's just like at least like the feeling is maybe if someone happens to walk past their computer when your email comes in, you'll be noticed.
Yeah, but
otherwise,
there's no
it's just
clear,
echoing off into like the Matrix room
there's no clear
where like
process for having things addressed.
Yeah,
definitely.
So if they're also like, oh my god, I don't know, maybe that would never happen. But I always live in fear of Steam being like, we're partnering with NBC to bring you their best shows.
Oh, God.
Also, that's the only organization big enough that they would demand sales reps.
Right.
And then like,
that's
probably never going to happen.
Yeah, Steam I think is a long way away from that, but I know
hopefully
why
they just go a completely other direction. They're like, you can subscribe to the New York Times through Steam.
Oh God.
Get your Newsweek issues.
I wouldn't hold your breath for that.
What?
Digitally delivered on paper. Yeah.
Maybe they're delivered via Scream
I subscribe to the
sheets.
New Yorker on my
that'd
phone.
Be amazing.
They fax them to you.
I had paper New Yorker subscription until like 2 weeks ago.
I have paper New Yorker, but it also comes with phone access.
Quite nice.
Yeah.
I had paper New Yorker subscription for a long time, and then too many of them just ended up stacked on top of the toilet. I was like, I'm not reading enough of these.
That is a serious problem.
Yeah,
like I have a backlog of 10 things I need to read before I can go to sleep, and then I started reading books again.
Wait, like you're not allowed to fall asleep until you read all these 10 things?
Yeah, you gotta.
That sounds horrible.
You have a very compulsive personality, like some of us in this room. Sometimes that sort of happens.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I get over my compulsive personality through laziness and apapathy. But then I still just feel bad about all of it.
Oh yeah, that's the worst combination.
I feel like I should
You
be doing
still
them, then
feel
I don't. So I just feel bad.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
That's special.
It is special, Danielle.
I guess I'll just go without sleep forever. That's good.
No, that's probably smarter.
I don't know. Comparing two different types of misery, I guess it's nobody really wins. We all lose. And that's okay.
I heard that we received a very special email, Chris.
Did we?
Did Sean not write it? He said he was going to write an email.
Oh,
totally did.
I was looking in the to read. Maybe he did. Oh,
we didn't file that one as to read.
Yes, he did. Okay. Sean Vanneman, for Danielle. First time, long time. Did you ride in the Call of Duty Humvee Uber at E3? If not, did you engage with any other Blockbuster brands? Your friend, Sean. P.S. You are my favorite person at Polygon, but don't tell love of my life, Justin McElroy.
I won't tell Justin. I did not ride in the Call of Duty, whatever the hell, Humvee, sadly.
Humvee Uber, is that what it said?
Humvee Uber?
Mm-hmm.
Uber Humvee? Yeah,
Humvee
no,
Uber.
I didn't. I saw them driving around. That was the thing.
Did you engage with any other Blockbuster brands?
I guess Alien's sort of a Blockbuster brand.
That's true, yeah.
Maybe.
That's true.
Yeah.
The outside of
Mario?
E3 is always just covered in military vehicles of some
always.
kind.
I know, it's
Whether
fucked
it's
up.
Always.
actually the army there to promote America's army, or it's the army vehicles there to promote Call of Duty or Battlefield or an upstart in that field.
Yeah.
There's always just tanks and shit outside of E3.
It's getting so much worse, actually.
Like, when people rappel down like from the sky.
On the topic of military fetishism in games, I don't know what the actual game is. It's probably not this, I guess. But there was a teaser for Battlefield Hardline, and the entire teaser was just basically riot gear pornography. It was dudes strapping on body armor and like loading guns and like spent bullets flying through the air, and
then
like,
they pepper gas one guy outside of UC Davis.
Basically.
It's basically the
watering my hippies.
The thing conveyed by the trailer was like, get ready to beat the shit out of some rioters. Like that's what it.
Totally. It was actually really
weird.
Really...
It was a weird,
maybe
that
video.
Game.
Oh God, what? I keep forgetting it. Is it Insomniac? What's the game with the wacky half a head shaved skateboarder guy?
Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, maybe those two games are actually the same game,
my God.
and it's an asymmetric multiplayer game.
That would be the best possible world.
If you cross-cut those two trailers, it would probably be pretty good of just like strapping stuff up, and then that guy like grinding on, here's the, and like, then just back to like the row of a million super thick plexiglass shields like lining up, and then that guy like spray painting on something and grinding something as like.
Did you just do it like
No, that was him like
with your hand. Oh.
That was the spray paint. Oh, yeah, but then it cuts to a guy going and then I don't know. It feels like those two trailers could probably be cut together to be the best game that was not at E3.
I'm gonna do that when I go home.
That's fine.
Make that trailer.
Please actually do.
I seriously will. No, that's the only thing that would make me want to play that fucking game. Like either of those games, honestly. Like the weirdest thing about the Battlefield Hardline stuff is that they demoed it on like a rooftop in LA, in downtown LA, and like. I don't know exactly how close, but it was like within a mile, there was actually a lone gunman, like in real life in LA, like holding a hostage or something. It was just like the most tone deaf E3 thing of life. It was like militarized police on a skyscraper. Oh, also this thing is actually happening.
Meanwhile, on a nearby skyscraper.
Yeah, exactly. And we were all like in our little room, where we are during the trailers.
Right. When you're in the situation where the PR guy has to go, he's not one of us. Then you're like, ooh.
PR stunt.
Yeah.
Yep, that was rough.
Yeah.
That was really rough. I'm going to make that trailer.
Please do. Also, speaking of
I don't know if that would actually work. I don't know if it'll play it.
We're going to make it work. We're going to make it work.
Polygon people making videos, I don't want to not mention this because Justin McElroy's name came up. Justin made an amazingly hilarious it's video, but it's basically just audio that you can find on his YouTube account that is like his idea of the recording session where Peter Dinklage recorded the
voice of the AI,
the voice of the AI from Destiny recording that wizard came from the moon line, and it's just 4.5 minutes basically of Justin reading that line.
It's Peter Dinklage recording his he's like an AI cube. He's like the Destiny version of Cortana, but it's Peter Dinklage's voice. But this is Justin McElroy's take on it, as if it's the Orson Welles Peas commercial, basically.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's accurate. Yeah. Yes. So anyway, just listen to that. It's funny.
It's a beautiful.
It's really good. That guy's hilarious. So. God, there was one other thing that I remembered in the middle of all this that I wanted to say, but I
hope that cube gets increasingly nude over Destiny games also.
Oh, nude cube?
Yeah.
Nude cube.
If that cube just slowly, like, walls of it are released over subsequent Destiny
like
games.
Like a nude cube with tude?
Well, it just then reveals a nude Peter Dinklage inside. I think that would be...
Do you think it'll emote further as nude as it gets? As nude as it becomes more raw and emotive,
Yeah,
the wizard came from the moon becomes those other readings of the
wizard
eventually, from the moon.
When Peter Dinklage guaranteed does not sign up for Destiny 2. Hopefully they get Justin McElroy to do to be the new cube, and then maybe it will also slowly, like as the walls are released, it's a 50-50 nude Peter Dinklage Justin McElroy hybrid character. That gets my butt in the seat for sure.
It's like the Double Fine little dude, the two-headed.
Oh, I don't mean that it's like a two-headed like creature.
It's a half
he means
hybrid.
It's like
I mean it's like a
the
morph.
Design is like it's like halfway between.
It's like they took
them.
inspiration from both.
Better.
Yeah.
From they want to respect the heritage of the original voice, but also pay homage to the new voice of the Peter Dinklage cube.
The way that Cortana like started out as this very kind of just sort of just general
just
kind of computer
lady,
shape, and then increasingly became what obviously must have been a real world model that was just a naked lady, right?
Yeah,
right. So, but in this case,
it goes from a cube to Peter Dinklage to Justin McElroy.
Oh, God.
They hopefully keep the cube theme somewhere in the design of the character.
Maybe what happens is the character has like is it a hologram?
No, the cube. No. This is just literally. A cube floats in front of the screen. It's just like it looks like a sci-fi companion cube or something.
I was going to say if it was like a hologram, it could like flicker between
No. What I'm saying is that hopefully inside of that cube is just a hologram of Peter Dinklage's face.
Yeah, I thought. Okay.
And nude body.
Oh well, that's fine. Well,
that's not in the lore right now.
I know it's not, but I'm saying in this fictional, in
what they're going to do in Destiny 2 and 3.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I'm saying in where the series is obviously going.
The trajectory. Like we were talking about how Bungie likes their like little lore and wacky references, so they looked at that image of the different Cortanas over all the different games, and they looked at the cube and were like, "Fuck, no, we got a plan for this. Don't worry, we know."
It could be the face of Peter Dinklage and the body of Justin McElroy.
That's fine.
It's a good enough morph.
I'd rather it was just a 50-50 split.
Yeah, I like it being a weird, uncanny kind of.
Where sort of like sometimes you think it looks like Justin, and then like he'll like flash a facial expression.
Exactly.
You get a glimpse of his eye, and you're like, "That's Dinklage in there. He's still in there."
I like the idea that it's actually both of them, but the game is just very clever about how it blends between the two.
Right. But the voice is all well. I mean, obviously, that the voice is splitting the difference as well because it's Justin McElroy doing a Peter Dinklage parody impression.
There's so many layers to this.
God, I would play this game for sure.
Yeah, seriously.
Fuck everything else. We need an iOS like second screen experience of just this cube that you could peel the edges off to get a hologram Peter Dinklage, Justin McElroy
Peter Molyneux
mutation.
This one.
Yes.
Oh my god.
God, this is like weirdly completely up Peter Molyneux's
Destiny. So it is
Just
Destiny. What's inside the cube?
Inside the cube.
But then the subtitle is "It is a nude Peter Dinklage."
This is
Justin McElroy hybrid.
where the Milo project was going. This is like up Peter Molyneux's alley in multiple ways.
I want to see
inside
Milo.
the cube. Inside the cube. What's inside the cube? It's a cyborg hologram Peter Dinklage.
That's what I said
Justin
earlier.
McElroy.
That's the subtitle of this game. It is Destiny. What's inside the cube?
I'm answering it.
Yeah. The subtitle is a cyborg hologram Peter Dinklage Justin McElroy morph. Parentheses voiced by Justin McElroy only.
But
a Peter Molyneux game. 22 Cans presents. And then it turns out that it's just gamified and fucking free to play it up the ass and no one will play it.
Yeah.
I'd still play it.
I would
still play this game.
You just dump $300 into immediately
obviously
skip to the end.
God, if there's any game that one must.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
God, I can't wait for Destiny 2.
Neither can I.
Thanks for joining us. Two things. One thing, I really.
It's time for Chris Remo's famous segment, Two Things, One Thing.
Shut up. So this week, or in the last week at some point, a really talented Idle Thumbs reader put together what he called Idle Thumbs Animated 1, which was a clip from, I think, Idle Thumbs 138 or something.
I think it's a clip from The Octopus in My Mind.
The Octopus in My Mind, yeah. Forum member Backad put this together. It's just an animated take on Sean's octopus dream, if you remember this, about Robin Wright. So,
and that Dalmatian octopus
that chased him up his house. So you can see that at blog.idlethumbs.net, and there's a link to the forum post that it came from, as well as the YouTube video. I just wanted to Idle Thumbs 148 is what it was. I just wanted to mention it because it was really well done, and it cracked me up.
The other thing is Idlevice.
Yes.
The Idlevice t-shirt, that pink and teal version of the Idle Thumbs t-shirt that we did the poll about like a month ago and then printed a bunch of, those sold out like immediately, and we kind of didn't notice for a little while that they were out of stock.
We thought they were going to last longer.
So, because they just went, which is awesome.
You gotta get your Vice.
But we... so if you ordered one in the last couple of weeks and you've noticed that it's been stalled out, it's because we actually were out of stock, but they are back in stock now, and they are going to be shipping out very soon. So if you ordered one, they should be heading out. If you saw or heard that they were slowed down, know that there is a fresh batch of hot coral and teal Idle Thumbs t-shirts waiting for you at store.idlethumbs.net. So, yeah. Yeah. And I think we should also thank NatureBox one more time.
NatureBox.
NatureBox, the snack subscription service that is delicious. They send
all kinds of good treats.
Yeah, a box of tasty snacks of all kinds, sweet, savory, crunchy, chewy, whatever your snacking face wants to eat.
Yep, you can get them at naturebox.com/thumbs for 50% off your first order, you eat them. Nature box.
What do you do, Chris?
You eat them.
Sounds delightful.
They are.
I was about to ruin the slogo. Goodbye.
Ruin your slogo goodbye.
It's also part of the subtitle of Destiny 2.
Destiny 2, what's inside the cube? A hologram of a nude Peter Dinklage, Justin McElroy morph. Ruin your slogo today by Peter Molyneux.
22 Cans
22 Cans presents from the creators of Milo and Dungeon Keeper.
Oh,
Good night.
Good night.
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks you. Yeah.
Thanks, Phyllis.
The delicious snacks that are fun to eat. They come in a box. Shipped to you
Box.
every month. Nature Box.
Can you do a little jingle?
Nature Box.
Nature Box.
Snacks to eat them. You eat them.
Eat me. Eat your box. Eat your box.
That's not the slogan. Strategy chocolate. Racing wasabi. I was exploding so much.